Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I want to share with you guys how much does it cost to get married in Singapore. So this is personally based on my own experience, and prior to my wedding, I did a lot of research on the budget and how much does it cost. For example, your gowns, your photography, the venue. There are many different costs that you have to take into consideration when you're planning your budget. So the objective of this video is to help couples out there who are planning for your wedding to better plan your finances in advance, so you roughly have an idea of how much you will need for the wedding or for your dream wedding, in other words. So yeah, this is what I'm going to share with you guys for today's video. Before I start on today's video, let's take a look at the beautiful accessories that I'm wearing now. So this necklace and these earrings are from Ana Luisa. So again, I've partnered with Ana Luisa for today's video. In case you didn't know, Ana Luisa is a carbon neutral free jewelry brand based in New York. I'm really happy to be working with Ana Luisa again for the video because their pieces are so beautiful. Not only are their accessories very sustainable, they also produce very high quality pieces at affordable pricing. So their mission is that they believe that high quality jewelry doesn't have to cost a bomb. So this is what I really love about their brand. Personally, I feel that the quality of these pieces are really outstanding. It doesn't tarnish, the color doesn't fade. It's just very dainty and classy and very modern. So I love the design, I love the quality, and I just love the brand so much. The best part is their designer jewelry only starts from $39 USD and up. Of course, they have the slightly more affordable range and a slightly pricier range. So it really depends on what kind of design that you're going for. At the same time, when you're exploring their page, do check out more about their craftsmanship. You can discover more on their website, which I think is really amazing, like the mission behind their brand. For the earrings that I'm wearing today, this is a tiny hoop earring that is called Suzanne. It is 14K gold on silver, and right next to it, I pair it together with Elise, which is a teardrop design, and I feel that they match so well together. Even by itself, it is still a very beautiful pair of earring. And for the necklace that I'm wearing today, this necklace is called Vida. It's a V-shaped design with paved gemstone, and this is made of silver with 14K plated gold. So in love with all these pieces that I received from them. So do check them out if you're looking for beautiful accessories which are high quality and timeless and beautiful. I will link them in the description box below. Okay, so let's move on to today's video. Prior to my wedding, I did a lot of research. For every different expenses, there are many different tiers of service that you could choose from. For example, maybe photography wise, if you were to go for a slightly less experienced photographer, then of course the price will be lower compared to a photographer who has been in the wedding industry for many years. So this is just a factor to consider. Of course, it depends on what you prioritize more, or what expense would you rather splurge on, and what other expense would you rather keep it to a minimum. So for example, you want to spend more on the venue, then you don't mind going for like a cheaper gown or a cheaper suit. What? So all these are based on my personal experience. I'll give you a range of the price based on my personal research. So there are some that I saw that are really affordable, and there are also some that I acquired which are really pricey. So it really depends on what you want. There's no right, there's no wrong. Ultimately, it is your wedding. Just do whatever that makes you most comfortable. To be honest, you don't need that much money to get married in Singapore. If you just want a really simple wedding and you just want to get married, actually you can just spend $35 to solemnize in RM. That's all you need, $35 to get married.
That's a great idea!
But of course, if you're on the more traditional side, or if you want to have like a nice, decent wedding, then that's when the costs come in. So first thing first, I will start with the wedding venue. So for wedding venue, I believe there are two parts to it. First would be your solemnization, be it in church or be it in hotels. They have their own designated solemnization area. So where I got married was W Singapore. They actually have this lawn area that is meant for solemnization, which is totally gorgeous. But of course for myself, we got married in church. So there's additional cost that we have to pay for the church venue. Then other than the solemnization venue, it will be the dinner banquet, or is it lunch banquet, depending on what you're going for, of course. So these are the two venues that you have to pay. For solemnization, it's definitely much affordable compared to a banquet, because usually for solemnization, I don't think food like a lot of food will be served. So maybe for solemnization, it will be about 1.5k around there for the slightly cheaper ones, to the higher end one, like maybe Capella has this like floating area for you to do solemnization. I believe that's easily like 3,000 and above. Moving on to banquet, be it you are doing lunch or dinner. Of course, lunch banquet is much cheaper compared to a dinner banquet. So lunch, if you are doing it at a cafe or a restaurant or even hotel, all these costs will vary depending on where you are choosing your venue. So maybe for cafe or restaurants are slightly more affordable. Moving on to like all the 5-star hotel, that's easily like 200 to 300 per pax. So the range is really quite wide. The thing is, I think for banquet, it is not so huge of a concern, because if you think about it, when you invite your guests or your friends or your family over, most of your guests will be able to, not really to cover up the cost lah, but they will give you ang pao as a form of blessing. So your ang pao should be able to help you to cover a portion of the cost. Of course, you can't avoid people who like give below the market rate.
No shit.
Anyway, that's the venue. And moving on for the next part, which are your rings, your engagement ring and your wedding bands. So engagement ring, of course, this really varies also. Like the cheapest one is probably like a few $100s to like a 1 carat, 2 carat, 3 carat diamond ring. So the range is like really wide. You can go from like a few hundred to even like 6 digits, that kind. So again, it's really up to like what kind of rings that you're going for. And for wedding bands, the cheapest one out there in the market is probably like couple at $48. Most expensive one that I saw was the one from VCA. It was about 9.8k. So of course there are more expensive wedding bands, so this is just a range for you to gauge. The next part would be the bride's attire. So depending on how many gowns you want to rent, each gown is easily like a few $100s for the cheapest ones, and towards the more expensive one, it can be thousands of dollars. So again, it really depends on your own budget. For wedding shoes, you can get the cheaper bridal heels from Charles & Keith, which will be less than $100. And if you want to go for like the slightly higher tier, that would be maybe Dior, Jimmy Choo, Christian Louboutin, which will cost maybe up to like $2,000. So again, depending on what you want. I also added in pre-wedding treatments, like for example, you want to color your hair or you want to sign up for a bridal facial, all this. So it's about 1k, I would say, but of course it's not a necessity. Then for the groom's attire, usually the groom will have like 2 or 3 different suits, I would say. If you are going to tailor a new set of suits for the wedding, or if you're okay with renting from the bridal studio, so it's really up to you. Or even if you want to use your existing suit, it's also perfectly fine. So I guess the market rate for one set of tailored suit would be about $400-500 to the more expensive one, which would be like 1,000 over. So this is just a range for you to consider. Then moving on to flowers. Flowers are so expensive. I think the most important one is definitely the bridal bouquet. So bridal bouquet, there's this package that I saw from one of the florists in Singapore. They have this package that they're doing. So it comes with 4 parents boutonniere and 2 grooms boutonniere and bridal bouquet. So of course the bridal bouquet is not very big. This package costs about, I think, 400 plus, if I remember correctly. But of course there are many different florists in Singapore. The price also ranges quite a bit, but it's not as ridiculous compared to like rings or like gowns that can range by like thousands of dollars. Flowers are also quite expensive, so I think it will be about like $1,000 if you are getting like bridesmaids bouquet, you are getting like groomsmen boutonniere for all of your bridesmaids and all of your groomsmen. Then of course for like the centerpiece during your banquet, if you want to top up to like nicer flowers, you also have to pay additional. So I would say flowers will be about $1,000. And next will be transport. For wedding car, it is not really a necessity. It really depends on what kind of cars that you want to rent for your wedding. You can go for like the sports car or like continental car or like the vintage car that we rent for. So even if you don't want, you can totally cut this cost by like using your parents' car or like your friend's car. You can budget about less than $1,000 for it. I mean, if you were to borrow a car, it is totally free. So yeah, moving on for stationery, which will be the invites, the menu cards, the place cards, and like the printing of all this. So for us, we did a physical invite as well as place cards for all our guests. So we slightly spend a bit more on this part because I want our wedding to be really personalized, and I want all our guests to come to our wedding to feel that it is something special that we did for them. So it is unnecessary also, like if you want to cut away this cost, it is totally fine because there are a lot of couples who are going for e-invite nowadays, which is zero. But for us, we engage. We have someone professional to do out the design for us, and we printed out the church insert as well as the wedding insert, which I will include over here. You can go and check it out. These are also additional expenses which can totally be avoided, and I think this would cost about $400 to $500. Yeah, and again, the number of guests also matters because the more guests you have, the more you have to print, so that will also like translate to more cost. Next will be one of the most important vendor, which will be your photographer and your videographer. So again, like I mentioned just now, it depends on what kind of photographer and what kind of videographer you're looking for. If you're going for like the slightly more experienced kind, then of course the price will be towards the pricier side. So I once saw this IG ad that appeared on my Instagram. 8 hours of photography and videography was only about $4,000. So if you divide by half, it's $2,000 for photography and $2,000 for videography, which is really affordable. I once inquired this very experienced photographer in Singapore. I will not mention the name. So his 10-hour rate was already above $4,000. So that's just for photography, excluding videography. So of course, for myself, I don't want to risk it since I already spent so much money on the wedding. I want all the photos and all the videos to turn out really nice. So we engage someone who is more professional in the industry. Okay, I would say the budget for this part would be, like I mentioned, the cheapest one is about $4,000 for both photo and video. And the slightly more expensive one would be maybe $4,000 and $4,000, about $8,000 for photography and video. Yeah. Then moving on to ang pao. So for ang pao, you have to issue it to your friends or your bridesmaids or anyone who assisted you in any way during your wedding day, vendors included, and all the hotel staff. Basically anyone who helped you on your wedding day. You should give them an ang pao as a form of blessing or as a token of appreciation that they are helping you. For ang pao, it also depends on how many bridesmaids, how many groomsmen that you have. It is a multiplier effect, I would say. The more you have, the more expensive it gets. So it can be in the thousands, it can also be in the hundreds. So it really depends. Yeah. And next would be honeymoon. So of course now during COVID, we are not allowed to travel, but we are going for a honeymoon this month. So I think honeymoon is about, depending on where you're going again, if you're going to like nearby countries or like somewhere near, probably like it's more affordable. But if you're going for Europe, US or Canada or anywhere else that's like further away, I would say the budget would be about $15,000 to $20,000. And the other expenses would be your pre-wedding shoot. So these can range from $2,000 all the way to $7,000, $8,000 or even $10,000 if you're going for like an overseas pre-destination shoot. So yeah, again, it varies. Then your pre-wedding videography. I know a lot of couples, they decided to do without, but we're just being super extra. So it is additional cost to factor in. Before the wedding, you have your nitty-gritty expenses like your bridesmaids gift box, your groomsmen's like gift, or if you buy any outfits for them. So all these are costs that you have to take into account. Oh, and the most important part is the bride's makeup. So this also ranges, like this is exactly the same story as your photo and video. If you want to engage someone who is more experienced in the industry or like makeup artist who does makeup for celebrities, then of course it will cost like thousands of dollars. But if you're just looking for a freelance makeup artist, you can probably get your makeup done at maybe a few $100s. So again, it really depends. Moving on to some unnecessary expenses, but these are expenses that you should also take into account, which are your wedding planner and your actual day coordinators. So we engage actual day coordinators. Again, the price varies. It depends on how experienced your coordinators are in the industry. So yeah. Then moving on to the last part will be wedding styling. So if you are going to engage a wedding stylist to style up the whole wedding, it is going to cost a lot. So initially I engaged this vendor. I wasn't really sure I was going to engage her, but we were just like discussing on like the proposal and the pricing and everything. So I was quoted 5 digits for the requirement that I shared with her. Of course, wedding styling really depends on the couple. If you want a more extravagant or a more elaborate wedding, you want it to be nicely decorated, you want a lot of flowers, you want a lot of decoration, you want like a nice photo gallery, or you want a nice guest table. So all these are like costs that you have to take into account. You can totally do without if you don't want like any stage deco, all this. So I would say the cheapest one would be maybe in the hundreds or like thousands, about 900 to 1000, like a slightly simpler design. If you're going for something more extravagant, I think even 50k is not enough. Like if you want all fresh flower in your banquet venue, so I think it's gonna cost a bomb. So again, all this really depends on couple to couple. It really depends on what you want for your own wedding. Just make sure that whatever they are spending is something that you are comfortable to spend. Make sure to not overspend because you don't want to get in debt for your wedding. So yeah, I will do a rough calculation of like the cheapest one over here. Like this is how much it costs to get married in Singapore. A simple wedding. Of course, the simplest one is just $35 to RM, and the slightly more extravagant ones over here. But I think this figure is not very accurate because it can really go up to like a lot more. So again, it really depends on the bride, the groom, and so many factors. So yeah, I just want to share with you guys what I researched for my own wedding, and I hope this video can help all the couples out there who are planning for your wedding to do a better financial planning. So in case you're planning to get married next year or in 2 years time, this should help you to have a rough gauge of how much you should save for your wedding. But of course, if you're just very simple or if you don't see the need of spending so much money on a wedding, you can totally save all these expenses and just go and do a simple RM and a simple solemnization with your family members. I think that's good enough. But if you want like a slightly more elaborated wedding and you want to remember your wedding day for the rest of your life, and you think your wedding day is going to be one of the most important days of your life, like me, and you don't mind splurging a bit more, then yeah, these are the costs that you should take into account and try to save up more before your wedding. Before I conclude on today's video, remember to check out Ana Luisa's beautiful jewelry pieces that I'm currently wearing. I will include them in the description box below, so do check them out! So yeah, that concludes today's video, and if you have any questions or if I miss out any particular cost, I will include that in the description box below. I just hope that this video is helpful for anyone out there, and remember to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!